a veteran of the Vietnam War, wandering around the country in search of comrades in arms and his place in civilian life. One day he visits a small provincial town called Hope. In the film, it is allegedly located on the territory of the United States. An American flag is being developed at the police station. The uniform of the cops also has the attributes of the USA. But in fact, this really existing city is located in Canada. Later you will see several signs confirming my words, but now I will only say that there is a sign on the street with the inscription Kettle Valley. This is the name of many places near the Canadian city of Hope. For example, a road or a house.
We don't want guys like you in this town. Drifters.
The meaning of the film is that after the end of the Vietnam War, the residents of the United States condemned the soldiers who took part in it, and it was very difficult for the latter at home. Often such people suffered from post-traumatic syndrome, could not find a job, in fact returned from the jungle to the jungle. But in the case of Rambo, there is one detail that makes him not so unhappy, and it is called the Medal of Honor. This is the highest award in the USA, which provides its owner with a monthly payment, the right to free public transport, and a number of other benefits. In addition, the hero must receive a veteran's allowance, so a man like him would wander around the country with the sleeping bag at the ready.
Where you headed?
Portland.
Portland is south. You said you were headed north. Portland, straight ahead.
The sheriff takes Rambo north and claims that Portland is in the opposite direction. However, the car goes all the way without turning off, and at the end of the way Teasel confused everything and suggests that the hero needs to go straight. At the moment when the antagonist drives back, the reflection of the microphone on the pole is clearly visible in the rear window. Stubborn Rambo did not wait until the law enforcement officer had gone far enough, but took and rushed back. It's raining heavily outside, but as soon as the camera switches to the car, the precipitation simply disappears. The same thing happened with the rear view mirror. Quite recently it was in its place, and now it is gone. And by the way, usually in police cars there is a grid between the front and rear seats, but not in this case.
All right, you're under arrest. Now you're gonna put your hands on that car.
The conflict occurred due to the fact that the main character is not verbose, and the sheriff took him for a tramp. As they say, both are good. Teasel can be understood, he cares about security, but Rambo at the beginning of the film had a very nice conversation with the dark-skinned lady, told where he served and with whom, showed photos, but in a dialogue with the sheriff he seemed to swallow his tongue. Perhaps if he had briefly told about himself and mentioned the Medal of Honor, then everything would have been different. The plot in a small town looks like a dozen hardened criminals get here every day, a door with the combination lock leading to the basement, a large number of lattice cells, and a large room for washing prisoners. Yes, in this town, a maximum of a couple of rowdies or alcoholics will go to the police station in a month, and then at best.
Hey, you got 3 seconds before I break your face in.
1, 2, 3, 10. Well, hit it already. The film completely ignores the fact that in the United States prisoners are entitled to one phone call. And even if Rambo wasn't allowed to call right away, he would have been given the opportunity later. He could have called any political department where they would have confirmed that he was awarded the Medal of Honor and he would have been immediately released, while offering 1,000 apologies for the inconvenience. Once again, I will say that you should not underestimate such a high reward. In the end, the Vietnamese flashbacks drive the veteran out of himself, and he runs away to the first floor, where he beats a policeman and throws him out of the window. Even before the cop breaks the glass with his body, there is already a crack in it, making it easier to perform the trick. People in the office saw their colleague being attacked, but no one is rushing to help, and that guy generally relaxed on the chair until the last. Once on the street, John decides that it will be faster, not to bypass the car, but to jump over it. Soon Teasel gets into the car and starts chasing the fugitive. The car of the Guardian of Order has got a mirror again, but if you look from the salon, it is not there. This is followed by a spectacular flight of transport through a railway crossing, which was achieved with the help of an installed springboard disguised as asphalt. In general, the sheriff drives the car as if he had dreamed of fishing all his life. He fearlessly soars up and does not slow down on turns, performing spectacular drifts. At some point, the main character turns off the paved road and accordingly gains an advantage against the car, but Teasel is in no hurry to give up. From the impact of the car, the plastic flies off the headlight and then it comes back. Then the car overcomes the fence and nothing happened with the hood on the rear wheel, but after a short-term camera switch, it evaporated. It is no wonder that when driving in such an area, the vehicle was heavily pelted with dirt, but behind the scenes the sheriff managed to visit the car wash and now the car looks much cleaner. Meanwhile, in the close-up, Rambo drives through 2 nearby puddles, crosses the 3rd and continues driving. After a short time, he again rides through the same puddles, only now the last of them is hidden behind a tree. The chase ends with the sheriff's car overturning, and the Vietnam War veteran, the best of the elite Green Beret squad, who was driving equipment for millions of dollars, could not cope with the motorcycle and plopped down.
Tell him to get out here with his damn dogs right away. Or tell him to bring the Dobermans. It's gonna rain. We'll need dogs that can hunt on sight. Right.
Things are bad for the main character. He found himself in a dead end next to a cliff. The camera shows the audience a river that flows from the bottom up, but this is not accurate, because in the next second it suddenly changed direction. In this scene, John's face is visible in all its glory, and there is no stubble on it. It was because the cops tried to shave him that he couldn't stand it and ran away, thereby preventing them from completing the procedure. Probably, in addition to the tarpaulin, the hero found a shaving machine, but this moment did not make it into the film.
You don't buy this thing, right? I swear to God.
The helicopter cabin is exactly the place where you can speak in a calm tone, and the noise of the blades will not prevent the interlocutor from hearing you. For a long time Rambo hung, holding onto a straight ledge, but as soon as he was about to jump, he finds himself next to another rock, from which he allegedly pushes off into the abyss. At the moment of the jump, the registration number is visible on the fuselage, and if you search for information about it, it becomes clear that the helicopter is registered in Canada. It is unlikely that the United States Police requested it from a neighboring country. Rambo manages to emerge victorious from an unequal battle with the help of a stone. Before it gets into the glass, there is a visible grid from which cracks will go, and they are formed, not from the place where the stone hit. From such a strong blow, the helicopter was instantly thrown high up, because literally just now it was flying very low, and the deputy sheriff turned into another person altogether. The original has blonde hair, white shoes and is overweight, but when he fell, he lost weight and darkened. The hero is in a hurry to take useful things from the body of the deceased, and for some reason the latter is lying on his stomach, although he fell backwards. In addition, the rifle was not visible in the frame, and now it is right there. It seems to me that the policeman did not die at all, because from this angle steam is coming out of his nose, therefore he is breathing.
I didn't do anything! Oh!
The mode of complete invulnerability to bullets is activated. Further searches for the Green Beret have a bad effect on the pursuers. The first thing he does is deal with the dogs and injures the dog handler. In surprise, Teasel drops his hat to his left, but in the close-up it falls in the other direction. The cops start shooting randomly, but soon realize that there is a scarecrow in front of them. It is made not from Rambo's clothes, but from a large piece of cloth. Where he got it in the middle of the forest will remain a mystery. If it had been a deputy's jacket, then everything would have fallen into place, but it's not her, and she can't be seen further in the film. The Vietnam War veteran starts neutralizing the cops one by one and they couldn't do anything. What can I say if Rambo dodges bullets, as in The Matrix?
Never possessed God in heaven to make a man like Rambo.
God didn't make Rambo. I made him.
Troutman was hiding and waiting for the right moment to make his contribution. The colonel mistakenly attached the coat of arms of the U.S. Army Special Forces to the patch of his Green Beret. Since he is an officer, he must wear the badge of his rank, that is, the Silver Eagle. In the next part of the film, this error was eliminated. Meanwhile, Rambo gets food and prepares to attack the boar. At the moment of the jump, he lifts the tarpaulin too much, and a kind of underpants worn over jeans get into the frame. Crickets in the woods. It's Christmas in the movie now, which means it's at least December in the yard. By this time, the insects are dying. As many as 200 soldiers of the National Guard are immediately connected to the search for the fugitive, and this is extremely illogical. I imagine how the sheriff contacted the authorities and said, "We have a dead man," fell out of a helicopter, and a couple of policemen were injured. One stepped in the wrong place, the other was shot by a partner. Send everyone you can urgently.
That's gonna look real good on his gravestone at Arlington. Here lies John Rambo, winner of the Congressional Medal of Honor, survivor of countless incursions behind enemy lines.
As a high-ranking Army officer, Troutman should know that this medal is not called the Congressional Medal of Honor. Although it is appointed on behalf of the Congress, it is awarded by the President. In addition, tombstones with such sayings are not installed at the National Cemetery in the Arlington City District. The plate only bears the name, rank, dates of birth and death. And also, depending on the faith, the cross, the Star of David or the Islamic crescent. Due to the fact that the soldiers found the hero, he was forced to run into the mine and make his way further and further. There is no one on his back, but in the next frame a whole horde of rodents settled there. Because of them, he literally bathed in water and soaked his clothes, including a piece of cloth hanging from his belt. All this dries up so much in a few seconds that the fabric can now be wrapped around the torch. Later, Rambo finds a way out and jumps onto the truck. In the place where he landed, a square-shaped soft material was deliberately placed. Meanwhile, the military transmits information to the police station that the fugitive has left the forest. The injured cop has a damaged nose and a broken arm, but earlier the hero only struck him in the face and did not break anything. Why is this person in the workplace in such a state at all? Okay, maybe he doesn't have health insurance. The police car tries to stop the truck, but for Rambo it's like an annoying mosquito. Having nothing to do, he turns on the headlights, then turns them off, and after a while pushes the cops into a parked car. As soon as the cars come into contact, an explosion immediately occurs, and in order for the stationary vehicle to remain in place, it was fixed on several cables. Knowledgeable law enforcement officers have already managed to organize a checkpoint next to the bridge, whose height is indicated in meters, while in the USA they use feet. Please note that for this scene, a camera was installed in the hero's car to take pictures from the right angle. After John flies over an obstacle, the fuel tank is disconnected from the truck, things are spilled out and a lot of dust is formed. But if you look from the point of view of the cops, you can forget about all of the above. It is also worth adding that the tailgate has opened, but when the hero parks, he is forced to open it. What? Is it night already? The city is very close. Clearly, if it's written in the script, so be it. The film was shot in 1982. 10 years earlier, at 72, the Esso Oil Company changed its name to Exxon in American cities. Now we see the logo used in Canada, where the name has not changed. And on the other side of the street there is an inscription turbo with the small Canadian maple leaf. Armed with an M60, Rambo destroys the gas station and the cars begin to burn not from gasoline outside, but from an unknown source inside the cabin. Meanwhile, the sheriff is preparing to fight back against his enemy. He takes a rifle and climbs to the roof, where he is filmed by an operator whose shadow is visible on the right side.
Hold your fire! Ken! Hold your fire!
Why on earth should cops listen to Trotman's orders? He's nothing to them. Rambo is considered a terrorist, and he may be his accomplice. The police were unable to deal with the criminals, so they brought in the National Guard. After that, the military had to take matters into their own hands and remove local law enforcement defenders from this case. However, now there is no trace of the military. At the end of the film, John complains about the injustice in society. Trotman calms him down and convinces him to give up. There are silver eagles on the colonel's shoulder straps, but for some reason they disappear in some shots.